Hey guys, Danny Bird from Bayou Marshall Blades. Thanks for joining the channel. If you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll get the content whenever it's uploaded to the channel. I'm going to talk about gripping knives and deployment of knives. We're going to focus primarily on, when it comes to deployment, folders, due to the fact that that's what most of you would be carrying as a folding knife. You need to know how to do it with a fixed blade as well, and we'll get into that. But to start off with, we'll stick with folders. Now, of course, I'm holding a fixed blade knife just because it's larger, and it'll be a little bit more easier to see the gripping methods from the camera's angle. So I'm going to step in just a little bit closer. This is a Cold Steel Outdoorsman, by the way, in case you're wondering. The way to properly grip the knife, you have 3 to 4 basic grips. If you imagine holding a hammer, and that is actually what is being referred to as a hammer grip, and that's because it's just the same as if you were going to hold a hammer. You notice I have all the fingers and the thumb wrapped around the handle, and that gives me a lot of control over the knife. This is probably the strongest grip you can have. It's not necessarily the most dexterous type grip, if that's the proper term, when you're doing the angles, and we'll be getting into the angles. And right about the time I'm getting ready to shoot this video, there's going to be a lot of noise in the background apparently, so I apologize. So you have the hammer grip. The next grip would be the forward grip, and that is with the thumb placed on top. This does allow for a lot of different angles. It just feels comfortable. You're able to perform those awkward angles a lot easier with the forward grip, but you do not have as much control. The thumb is missing here around the handle. That's the second grip. So that is the forward grip, and that's what you'll see most people using. You also have what is called the saber grip. Now the saber grip, and I'm going to turn around here, is where the knife is held flat and the thumb is placed up here along where the bolster is at, or sometimes they'll place it on the actual blade if you have enough room on the ricasso, and this would be your ricasso right here. And it's called a saber grip because it's used a lot in fencing. A lot of people, when they use a saber grip with a knife, not a fencing sword, they use it with double-edged knives. Because if you're going to do horizontal slashes with a double-edged knife, or single-edged knife, excuse me, then when I make that cut and go to make the next cut, the next horizontal cut, back the opposite direction, and I'll get into those angles in a minute, you'll come back across this way, but I have to rotate that blade because it's a single-edged knife. Forward grip works really well for that. If I use the saber grip, well, I have to turn my hand over, and everything changes. With a double-edged knife, a saber grip, holding it like so, I can cut across and then come back. Because it's double-edged, I do not have to change my wrist. I don't have to rotate the wrist. I can just come straight back across as if the same way I would with a fencing sword. I can do that with the double-edged knife. So the saber grip is really for double-edged knives, in my personal opinion. So we have the hammer grip. This is for strength, whether it's in an edge up or edge down or edge out or edge in. Your terminology, you go with either one. I prefer edge out and edge in. And then you have the forward grip. You have the saber grip. And then we'll get into now the reverse grip. Seems to be a consensus out there that, if you see a guy with a knife and a reverse grip, he knows what he's doing. That's not true at all. Okay, he very well may know what he's doing, but that's not necessarily true. If you are well outside of arm's reach from the guy with the knife and the reverse grip, and you have your knife in forward grip, unless you have an extremely short knife, and even if you do, that would probably still put you at best on equal ground as far as distance goes, you gain nothing. Now, if you have a large knife, and even if he has the same length, if he's in a reverse grip, it's very difficult for him. You have to contort. It's not going to do it. It's not going to pull it off. Whereas with a forward grip, I can simply extend the arm out. I have the reach. So reverse grip, he's a professional. He knows what he's doing. That's not necessarily true. Reverse grip is generally used in close quarters, and depending on your advancement level, it's used in control methods. So this knife it's a live blade, but it is not sharpened on the back. This is not a sharpened edge, it's a false edge right here, okay? Control methods in a reverse grip, I can hook the opponent's limb, and by doing a scissoring action, I can control that limb. And that can be done with the back of the blade, or you can amp that up by using the actual cutting edge against the arm. And as you pinch, you're going into the flesh. And if I pull, and I'm going to turn this over, but imagine this, if this cutting edge against, if I pull straight back, I'm cutting those tendons, which is probably going to cause him to release his weapon. Reverse grip, what is it? All right, reverse grip is simply held with the point down, edge out or edge in, doesn't matter, with your thumb along the top of the handle. That is a reverse grip. By capping the top of the grip, this is called an ice pick grip, or ice pick grip. Imagine most young people won't even probably know what this is, or remember having to do this, but if you're my age, you had a spike attached to a handle, and it was called an ice pick. And then when you wanted to get pieces of small chunks of ice for your cup, you had to break the ice up. It's called an ice pick grip. And the reason why you're capping it like that is so that if you hit something hard, your hand doesn't slide down over the blade itself and end up doing damage to your own hand. So cap the end of it. You can do that in a reverse grip. And what you would use a reverse grip for, you can still do it. I can still cap the end and pinch. Okay, it's not as easy to do, but I can do it. Really, the only time you need to cap the end is if you're going to thrust or stab. Otherwise, it's easier to do. I can simply cap. Anytime during this motion, I can cap. Okay, I can do that. Not a problem. So, wrap up this particular short, or this particular video. And guys, I don't have my video assistant, so I'm going to have to step out of frame at times to pause the video and continue. So, to wrap it up, hammer grip, forward grip, saber grip, ice pick grip, and reverse grip. Get you a trainer. A stick will do, but preferably a trainer that mimics somewhat the blade you're carrying. And we're going to get into trainers in a minute. I'm going to show you those. If you're using a live blade, be extremely careful. If you take a piece of cardboard and fold it over, and then take some electrical tape or duct tape and just tape it around, you can somewhat create a training blade for just doing maneuvers. Understand that cardboard is not going to protect you. If you drop this on your foot, it'll probably go right through it. So get a trainer of some sort. They're all over the internet, and they're cheap. So just get the trainer. It doesn't have to be exactly like the knife you're carrying, just as long as it's close. So we'll come back and we're going to talk about deployment. How to get a folder out of your pocket. And why are we talking about grips first instead of deployment first? I mean, obviously, if we're going to deploy the knife, we need to be able to get it out. You'll understand that if you train enough with a folding knife, they're extremely difficult to get out of the pocket. But knowing how to grip the knife properly first will allow you to index the knife in your pocket, so that when you come out with it, you'll automatically go into that grip, and you'll have better control over the handle of that knife as you're deploying it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back, and we're going to talk about deployment of a folding knife. Now, this is a Spyderco stainless Dura. Goes back to the 90s, at least when I got this knife. And it has been converted to a trainer a couple decades ago. Edge is taken completely off, points completely rounded. And I did that because they didn't make trainers back then. Especially trainers that were identical in many different ways. So if you don't have a trainer, I suggest you buy one. Even if you have to make it yourself, like I did. A lot of people say, well, you just ruined a perfectly good knife. And Spydercos are expensive. Well, Spyderco trainers are almost as expensive as the actual knife itself. And if you're buying an Emerson trainer, for example, well, it pretty much is the same price as the regular knife. So you might as well I had the knife. Back then they didn't make trainers, so I made one myself. It's the safest way to do it, especially if you're going to be training with a partner. So the knife this particular knife is carried tip down in the pocket. The pocket clip is up here where the pivot pin is at, and that, when you stick it in the pocket, it is going to be tipped down. Now, this is an Emerson, and it is carried tip up in the pocket. So the pocket clip is positioned at the butt of the knife to allow it to be tip up in the pocket. Two different types of carry, two very different types of deployment. The Emerson, and you can get, I believe Spyderco does have some of the wave feature on them now. I know the bird, it's not this bird, it's another knife designer. And he does have some Spyderco knives that have the wave feature on those, but this one does not, of course. This is the wave feature, and right here is a disc, which is a thumb stud to open the blade up, and then you have this little wave, what they call the wave feature. It's a little hook, a little catch, and it catches on the pocket. Now, two different types of carry and two very, very different types of deployment. This is a little bit slower than this, and not because of the wave feature. It is definitely because of the wave feature that it's slower, but not, even if this didn't have the wave feature, this is a little bit quicker, because when this gets deployed out of the pocket, you have to rotate the blade in the hand to open it up. And I'll pause this video once again, guys. I apologize, and we're going to get on with that. Okay, so I'm going to remove the cold steel. As you notice, it's tipped down. Place it there. And I'm going to put in the Spyderco that is tipped down carry. Hopefully you'll be able to see that in my pocket. To index the knife, you take your thumb, slide it in behind the knife. Your index finger will come down to where the pocket clip's at, and you pinch the knife, pull it out, and that's basically what you end up with, is this grip right here. That is not a very stable grip. So when you index the knife and go to pull it up, bring it in close to the body, the butt of the knife, and then as you bring it out, that's when you would open it. I'm using the thumb hole stud here, or not stud, the hole in the blade that's called the thumb hole. It's a Spyderco patent, to open the blade. And you're simply pushing against the hole in the blade to open it up. So this takes a lot more time to get down, and not only that, it's got a good pocket clip, but the handle's slick. It's stainless steel, it's slick, so you have to get a really good purchase on it, pull it up, and it, to me, and possibly because, most likely because of the slick slides, it cannot get as good a grip on it as you can with other handle materials. So that's something you need to take into consideration. Now, let me just go tip down, or correction, tip up, excuse me, tip up. This is an Emerson police utility knife. Actually, it's the Emerson Police Survival Utility Knife, Peace Arc. Same thing, thumb goes in behind the handle, finger comes down underneath the pocket clip. Bring your fingers around to where the blade would be coming out in your hand. I'm going to have to grip the back of the blade because this knife is going to want to deploy on its own. So when I come out with it, that puts me in this position right here. I'll use a disc in this case because it doesn't have the hole, and you would give a little bit of a flick as you push it forward. With a wave feature, you can do away with all that. Simply grab the knife, get a good grip on it, comes out automatically. That in and of itself is a game changer when it comes to deployment of a tactical folder. If your tactical folder does not have a wave feature on it, I would suggest, at least for your non-dominant hand carry, that you find one that does have that wave feature. I think I already referenced Spyderco does have a few models out like that. Cold Steel has some models like that. Of course, there's the Emerson Columbia River Knife and Tool, which you've seen on this channel. Some of their models do have a flipper that you can open the knife straight from the pocket. So get something like that, especially for the non-dominant hand. We don't train the non-dominant hand for deployment near enough. And we should, because you may be in a situation where you cannot index the knife in your pocket that's on your right side, your dominant side, and then you have to deploy the knife from the left, your secondary knife. Make sure that knife, whatever that secondary knife is, can be deployed quick and easily, and you have total control over it. So if you don't have a folder with a wave feature, for example, of some sort, to open the knife automatically when you pull it from the pocket, carry a fixed blade on your left side. If you're right-handed, would be your left side, your non-dominant side. So once again, tip up carry, thumb goes behind the blade, index finger is gripping the bottom of the pocket clip, tuck these fingers back, straight up, it comes straight out. From there, of course, once it's out, you're going to go into either a hammer grip, forward grip, saber grip, most likely not with a saber grip, and then if we're doing a reverse grip, cap the end, that's an ice pick, and then of course with the thumb just riding on the back would be a reverse grip. So to wrap it up, you have the hammer grip, forward grip, saber grip, ice pick grip, and reverse grip. Pocket clip or pocket folders, tactical folders, you have tip up carry, you have tip down carry. Some tactical folders will have either a disc or a wave feature or both, or a Spyderco hole. In the case of Spyderco, that's all they use. But they do have some that have the wave feature. But primarily it's going to have that Spyderco hole. Even if it does have the wave feature, it's going to have the hole. It's their trademark. So, I know it's a little bit long video, but you can play this back and get those grips down. The deployment, like I said, you're going to have to just practice. And with different types of clothing, it's going to change how that knife comes out of the pocket. Jeans, probably one of the best things. Jean pockets, it'll come out relatively fast because the material in your jeans are a little bit stiffer, I guess might be the right term to describe that. But when you got something like slacks or BDU pants, the pocket is going to want to move with the knife a little bit more so than a pair of jeans would. So that might hinder you getting it open, so you're just going to have to practice. Like I said, wave features very fast. Don't discount that. make that, I would definitely get at least one knife that has a wave feature, and make sure, and as you can tell, the Emerson knife is set up for right-hand carry only. There are some Emerson knives that will allow you to change the blade over to the left-hand carry. Make sure the knife can be carried in your non-dominant hand. So if your left-handed is your dominant hand, obviously this would be perfect for a right-hand carry, a non-dominant hand carry. Most people are just right-handed, so if you hear me referring to make sure it's on your left side, that just means non-dominant side, so you just have to bear with me on that, guys. Hope this video was helpful. Leave a comment. Kind of fast-paced. I'll be doing some shorts that'll show the actual grips, and you can check those out as well. We'll be coming back and we'll talk about angles. Angles are very important to keep that blade flowing. You want that blade constantly in motion. Master James Keating had a quote a very long time ago that stated basically, in stillness lies death. If you and the blade are not moving in a knife fight, you're going to lose. Most likely, you're going to lose. You have to be moving all the time. That blade cannot come to a resting point for more than a second or two, if that long, and you shouldn't be either. You should constantly be moving. So anyhow, kind of went down a rabbit hole there. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Hey guys, and I'll be back with the next video, and it'll be on angles. And we'll touch on that tandem knife fighting. I'll show you a little bit about what that's all about, okay? And I've got a playlist set up, and you can check out Filipino style knife fighting, and if you do so, you might in some of those notice that at forward grip, you'll see them raise their thumb off like this when they're demonstrating or talking about something. Even when they're doing angles, you'll see them do that. And why would they do that? Because that makes the knife easier to come out of the hand, right? Generally speaking, when they do that, it is right before they're fixing to actually trap someone's hand. It's an actual maneuver, it's an actual technique in most of the Filipino Kali arts, Sayat Kali, depending on whichever system you're under. It is an actual technique, and it's basically a forward grip. Thumb comes off, and it's a grip they use. It's not something I would recommend. Not saying I wouldn't use it, and not saying you might not sometimes catch me doing that, only because I have personally trained in some of the Kali systems. Not under a professional instructor, but with other people that did know some Kali systems, and just on my own. So you may see me actually do that sometimes, and just habits die hard, guys. So anyhow, Danny Bird, Bayou Marshall Blades. Have a good day. Stay safe and stay sharp.